I was so frustrated. I'm thinking, I had them for so long, and now, how dare this kid? Anybody in here, by a raise of hands, has somebody in your life that annoys you? Raise your hand if you have somebody in your life that annoys you. Okay, another hand. If you could not be sued for the next answer, what would you want to do to a child that threw a shoe at you? Just yell it out. Anybody would have any choice words for the child? Anybody consider throwing the shoe back? Of course. Of course you would. I was furious. I was thinking, how dare you interrupt my lesson with these amazing students? And I was so frustrated. Finally, the parents started coming one by one to pick up their children. And I was left for an extra 45 minutes with one child. Can you guys take a wild guess which child? Which child was it? No, I was pretty sure it was Satan, okay? So I'm thinking, out of all the kids I'm going to be left with. Finally, the back door of the gymnasium opens up, and this woman comes waddling in, and she says, it's time to go. And he says, oh, see you later, Sean, and he scurries out the back door. And I was so frustrated. I wanted to make an impact, and yet it wasn't happening. I wanted to connect, and this kid was just so belligerent. And I left the auditorium, I got to the playground where my car was parked. Right before I got in my car, I heard a voice from behind me, Sean, wait up. I turned around and realized it was the principal. Sean, I just wanted to ask you, how's your school project coming? How are the kids? And I said, oh, they're all a bunch of angels, except for this one child. The principal smiled and said, Sean, I know which one. And there's something you need to know about this child. I looked the principal in the eye and I said, no, thank you. I don't even know anything about this child. This child's a bane. The principal said, well, what you might want to know is just about a year and a half ago, that child's father killed that child's mother. And now the mother's gone, and the father's in prison for life, and the only remaining relative is his grandmother. And she had to pick up 2 extra jobs just to support the 2 of them. And he comes to school packed for lunch with just a candy bar and a soda. And I just thought you should know that. Now, by a raise of hands, anybody want to throw their shoe back? Of course not. Why? Well, because we got a piece of the puzzle that we didn't have now. The missing piece that makes the rest of the picture in focus. Now think about it in your life. Think of how many people you throw the shoe at. Think of how many people that annoy you, frustrate you, bother you, and you think, how dare you interrupt my life? How dare you sidetrack me? How dare you treat me this way? So what do? You throw the shoe back, and it just continues the cycle. We as leaders in our school system, we cannot throw the shoe back. And sometimes we need to be reminded of when we're doing it. It's a human trait to want to do it, but it's our intelligence that can tell us not to do it. It's our compassion. It's our will to want to connect with people that has to realize that we need to love our bullies. And we have to teach our students to love their bullies in the school system. When I come in to speak to kids, whether it's kindergartners or seniors in high school, I tell them, whoever is teasing you, I want you to become their friend. I want you to be nice to them. And the reason why is because you don't know what's going on in their home life that caused them to be that way. See, I'm just one of these philosophers that believe that we're all born with a blank slate and that we're imprinted over time. Does that condone the shoe-throwing behavior? Absolutely not. But there's a difference in treating a person by throwing the shoe back and embracing them. See, I wanted to just run after that child and give him a hug and just say, look, I'm sorry that I judged you. I will be here for you as a mentor. Please let me know if there's anything. We need to create that atmosphere in our school systems. You need to treat the faculty that you work with that bother you and say, what is driving their behavior? You know, if they're being mean on the outside, what's going on the inside for them? I want you to remember this quote, and that is that the hurt hurt and the healed heal. We've all been hurt. We've all had moments in our lives where we felt hurt. But there's a difference between living your life in hurt and actually going out and healing yourself. Because when you go out and heal yourself, then you can heal others. I see it in relationships. People will come to me and they'll say, why do I keep getting into bad relationship after bad relationship? Because they haven't healed themselves up first. We need to work on that if we want to take a stand in our lives. Our next standing lesson is that we need to start showing some respect. And we're usually taught to respect others, right? Oh, you need to respect your elders. You need to respect your teachers. You need to respect your parents. You need to respect other people's property. But what about respecting ourselves? Novel idea, isn't it? I mean, finish this phrase for me. If you can't say something nice, why do we forget that that applies to ourselves too? Did you know you have a little voice that resides inside that 6 pounds of squishy gray matter between your ears? Yep, you have that little voice inside your head, and it's constantly talking to you. Right now it's saying, what voice? I don't have a voice. This little man, he's crazy. That voice is the voice. It's that voice that tells you when you're bloated, when you're tired, when you're happy, when you're scared. It's talking to you constantly. Are you monitoring it? Because it's kind of like a little child. If you ignore it, it becomes belligerent, doesn't it? How many people have children yourself? Raise your hand if you have children. Okay, remember raising your children, and at about 4 years old, your child wants ice cream or some dessert. They come up to you in the kitchen, Mommy, Daddy, and they're tugging on your sleeve, I want ice cream. If you ignore the child, will the child go, this strategy's not working? Maybe I should go in the living room, sit crisscross applesauce, and I'll wait, and the ice cream will appear. Do they do that? No, what do? They start saying things like, poo-poo head, I don't like you. And they storm off, they scream, they cry. You have that inside of you. It's that little voice. If you ignore that little voice, and you forget that you have a voice living inside of you, you ignore it, don't show it any attention, don't show it any love, you'll start saying things to get yourself attention. You'll start saying some very mean things about your capabilities, about your power, about your worth, about your appearance. That little voice is so powerful. The internal words we use, they don't define us. They create us. What we say to ourselves. We're constantly creating ourselves. I think what's sad is that most people think that they get to an age where they have their identity set. Look, your identity's always in flux. You can transform yourself by how you talk to yourself on the inside. I learned the power of vocabulary. When I was speaking to an audience a few years ago, speaking to this grade school, and I was in the gymnasium, and there was a whole school full of kids. And I see this woman in the back, looked like a mom. She had a little pass on her shirt that said guest visitor. And she was taking copious notes during the program. And after the program ended, she slipped out the back door, and I never got to meet her in person. Except I did get a phone call from her a few days later. Let me invite you into that call. Sean? Yeah, what's going on? How can I help you? Sean, well, you don't know me. I was recently in your audience, and I saw you up on stage. And I looked at you, and I was thinking, man, you're so confident, and you're so powerful. And people look up to you, and they lead you. How do you do that? So I said, well, I'm happy to give you my secrets, but why is it important to you? And she said, well, what you don't know about me, Sean, is I have a daughter. She's only in 3rd grade. And she comes home every day from school crying. Her classmates make fun of her. They call her weird, and they call her different. And I said, well, why is that? Well, my daughter was born with this rare condition, Sean, where her fingers were grown together at birth, and her hands are webbed like frogs. And I want to know, is there anything I could tell my daughter, anything I could do or say to her to make her feel good about herself? She's amazing, but she comes home every day so upset.